Part 1.
You will hear some people talking about getting exercise. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 7. Listen carefully to the first part of the conversation and answer questions 1 to 7.
Hey, Janos, have you seen this notice here?
What's that?
Join our mole walking program, Get Fit for free. Now, I like the sound of that. I can't afford to keep up my gym membership this term. It's too expensive.
I know what you mean. But what exactly is mole walking? Sounds a bit boring to me.
Hold on. OK, it may sound boring, but it might be a great opportunity to take exercise. Think about it. A climate-controlled environment where you can take exercise without having to worry about the wind or the rain.
Wind and rain? Have you actually looked at the weather outside? It's snow and ice out there. I only came into the mall to keep warm.
Well, it is winter and we are in Canada after all. So just think, by mole walking we can exercise indoors instead of outdoors.
Great.
And another thing, we won't have to worry about the traffic. Just think, no busy roads to cross and no rush hours to think about. Come on, it's worth a try.
You're still not exactly selling it to me. Imagine walking past the same stores and they're not even open. So what's the point of that?
Oh, come on, Janos. Just think about it as an opportunity to window shop and keep an eye out for bargains. And what about all the amazing decorations and displays we can take a look at? I think it sounds like fun.
Did you say fun? Walking on a hard surface like concrete. Give me grass any day. Much more comfortable on the feet.
And there's another thing. In a mall, you're always close to restrooms. And water, come to that. What could be better than that?
I think I know the answer to that one. Exercising in a gym is a whole lot better.
Well, anyway, we can get more details at the information kiosk. So, do you want to come with me or not?
I'll give it a miss. I'm off to the gym to make the most of my membership before it runs out.
Hello. I'd like more information about the mall walking program.
Great! We're always looking for new members. Can I just ask you how you found out about the programme?
On the notice board on the first floor.
Oh, that's great! Most of our new members come through the website or through friends. Good to know people still read the notice board here in the mall.
Yes, I guess so.
Now, let me give you some details. The programme runs weekdays, Monday through Friday. And it's an early start. Wait for it. Walkers meet at 7 a.m.
7 a.m? That is pretty early. But come to think of it, my lectures start at 9 most mornings, so I would be able to make it back to the campus in plenty of time.
Great. Actually, most members go straight on to work or college after their walk, so you're not alone. Now, our members meet here on the ground floor.
Here at the information kiosk?
No, just over there at the food court.
Oh, the food court. OK.
Yes, just follow the smell of coffee. Normally about 10 to 15 people show up for each walk, but numbers can vary.
So, up to 15 in a group. That's an ideal number. Glad it's not 50. And how long do the walks last?
You can expect to walk for 1 hour, but some groups do less, half an hour or so, and a few groups even do up to an hour and a half, so it's best to check when you arrive. Which day were you thinking of starting?
Now you have some time to look at questions 8 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the conversation and answer questions 8 to 10.
Well, next Monday would work for me. Morning lectures have been cancelled, so I would have plenty of time.
Monday the 4th of February?
Yes, that's right.
OK. So let's get your details. Can you give me your full name?
Anya Karczewskaya.
Can you spell your surname, please?
Yes. Karczewskaya.
And your address?
Apartment 12, 2 Burlington Street.
And a contact telephone number?
0757 634 5003.
I'll just read that back. 0757 634 5003.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, new members receive a free gift when they join, and it's a much better gift than last year. We gave people badges, but they tended to lose them, and more recently we provided visors instead, but they weren't very popular. So this year we're giving new members T-shirts.
That's great. What colour?
Yellow. I've got plenty in stock, so you can collect yours on Monday.
Thanks a lot.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2. Part 2.
You will hear a man talking about a parliament building. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 17. Listen carefully to the first part of the talk and answer questions 11 to 17.
Good morning, everyone. Can you all see and hear me? Good. Now, my name's Dan, and I'm your guide this morning for our tour of the New Zealand Parliament. Now, we're standing in the executive wing of the Parliament complex. This is where all the government ministers have their offices and where the Prime Minister and the Cabinet meet. Now, most people here refer to this building as the Beehive, and no prizes for guessing why it's called the Beehive. That's right. It's shaped exactly like a traditional beehive, and it's one of the most famous buildings in Wellington. Now, I'll start with some background information about the design and construction of the building. It may come as a surprise for you to learn that the architect wasn't a New Zealander. No. In fact, it was designed by a Scottish architect, Sir Basil Spence. He designed the concept for the building during a visit he made to our city in 1964. His idea was that all the offices and rooms would radiate from a central core. Now, the Beehive was built in stages over 10 years. Construction began on building the underground car park and the basement at the end of the 1960s, in 1969. And over the next decade, the remaining floors were constructed. Yes, 1 decade later, in 1979, the first parliamentary offices moved in. Now, as you can see, the Beehive is pretty high. In fact, it's 72 metres tall. It has 10 floors above ground and an additional 4 floors below. So that's a total of 14 floors altogether. That means there's plenty of space for the many facilities available to the members of Parliament and ministers to use. These include a small theatre and a television studio. Now, if you'd all just like to follow me, we can make our way inside the building itself.
Now you have some time to look at questions 18 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the talk and answer questions 18 to 20.
Here we are in the entrance foyer. It's a very airy space, isn't it? And if you look at the floor you're standing on, you'll see it's made of marble. And if you look to your left, you can see some beautiful columns. They are also made from marble. Now, look at the wall panels. They are made of stainless steel. They look really stunning, don't they? Now, straight ahead of us is the staircase leading to the first floor of the building. As you can see, the railings on the staircase are made of bronze. Now let's make our way up this beautiful staircase to the banquet hall on the first floor, and we can admire these beautiful bronze railings on the way. So this is the banquet hall. And as you can see, it's shaped in the form of a semicircle. It's also a pretty big space, isn't it? It's actually a big enough dining room to hold up to 300 guests. Now look at the large mural to your right. It's three-dimensional and shows the atmosphere and sky of New Zealand. And the floor we're standing on is made of wood. It's a native New Zealand timber called tawa. Okay, now let's make our way to
The end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3. Part 3.
You will hear a student called Margaret Parkinson talking about the class she missed on Thursday with her professor. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Hi, Professor Timmons. Do you have a few minutes? I was hoping to talk about what I missed on Thursday.
Hello, come in. Sure, sit down. Could you tell me your name, please?
Margaret, sir. Margaret Parkinson. I apologise for missing your class, but I had to go to the hospital.
I'm sorry to hear that. Everything is okay now, though, I hope.
Yes, thanks.
Glad to hear it. So on Thursday, I outlined the research project that will account for 30% of your grade. All students will be divided into groups and will give a well-researched presentation to the class covering a specific topic relevant to student life.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Can we choose just any topic that pertains to life as a student, like how to start your own student organisation?
Well, though I'm sure that would be an informative presentation, I've already chosen a list of topics which I will assign. As an example, I assigned one group the topic of student loans. They're to research not just the prevalence of students who have loans to pay for their tuition, but information as to how best to manage these loans and possible scholarships that could alleviate some of the financial burden.
That one sounds particularly interesting to me. Could I request that topic? I could easily find out a lot about it by stopping by the finance office on my way to class.
Unfortunately, that one's already taken by another group. I have, however, assigned you to a group and given you all one of two choices.
Oh, I see. What are the choices?
The first is discussing smoking, trends in the number of student smokers compared with the general population, popular reasons students take up smoking, and more healthy alternatives to smoking.
That one could be interesting. I'm not a smoker myself, but we'll see what my group thinks. If we did choose this topic, we would rather not put our fellow students on the spot to interview them. Where else could we gather information?
How about where the cigarettes are sold?
Oh, that's a great idea. I could interview the manager of a supermarket and find out the average age of people buying cigarettes, or how much they buy, that sort of thing.
Precisely.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. And what was the other topic?
The other topic is the practice of natural medicine. It sounds far more specific than the others, but it is more of an exercise of outlining a career path. If your group chooses this, you would cover the specifics of becoming a doctor of natural medicine, how to become licensed to practice natural medicine, what the career outlook is, etc. You could find much of the information you need on this in the careers office.
Wow, that would be really helpful, not just in learning about natural medicine, but in how to approach researching any career path.
That's the idea. I want groups to really think outside the box to find information on their topics. They should interview multiple sources.
Okay, now I think I have the general idea.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 27 to 30.
When is the presentation due?
I expect each group to send me an email attachment of the plan ahead of time by October 10th, so that I can ensure that you are on the right track.
Oh, that's actually really reassuring. I would hate to spend so much time on a presentation only to find we had taken it in the wrong direction. So when is the presentation?
I let groups choose from the list of time slots I have between November 1st and November 5th.
Okay, how about the 3rd? I'll have to check with my group, of course, but maybe we could write a tentative time?
Sure, let me take a look. I'm actually booked completely through the 3rd and 4th now. How about sometime in the afternoon of the 5th?
Great, how about 2 o'clock?
No problem. I'll pencil your group in.
Okay, thanks. And to clarify, what exactly is due in the first phase?
Before the October deadline, I want your group to have compiled resources and then to provide some initial data analysis to support your claims.
Okay, so data analysis is due the 10th of October, and then the
Presentation? Yes. The final phase is simply giving the presentation on the 5th of November.
All right, I think I have all the information I need. Thanks.
You're welcome. See you in class tomorrow.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to Part 4.
Part 4. You will hear an introduction about an eco-friendly building called the Gherkin. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today, I'd like to tell you about how UK architects are playing their part to address the issue of global warming. You have seen many of these iconic buildings while going about your everyday life, but you may not know how they are affecting your tomorrow. In 2003, construction was completed on the famous Swiss rebuilding, or more informally called the Gherkin, a true masterpiece commissioned by the law offices of Foster and Partners. This is not the first ambitious endeavour of the firm. They are renowned for their various philanthropic environmental efforts. The Gherkin, with its cut-and-edge green initiative and sharp design, is gaining recognition as an icon in modern architecture. You can pick it out of the London skyline by its unorthodox cigar shape. While its appearance is the obvious attribute at which to marvel, there is far more to this building than meets the eye. And let's face it, there's a lot about this building that meets the eye. The building helps reduce the city's carbon footprint in a number of ways. Just a quick note, in case you're not familiar with the term carbon footprint, get used to it. It's a buzzword you'll hear relentlessly to talk about reducing emissions. Think of it as the amount of harmful greenhouse gases that are given off into the environment by a single person, organization, or product. So going back to the Gherkin building, perhaps the most obvious as well as the most significant eco-friendly feature is the glass windows, which allow light to pass through the building, both reducing heating costs and brightening up the workspace. The ingenuity behind the various eco-friendly aspects of the Gherkin has seen its fair share of publicity both from serious and silly sources. In a recent April Fool's Day edition, one e-publication printed a story detailing plans to replace 50% of the current exterior with grass, which would not only make large steps in the name of sustainability, but also give the building the green hue that would truly earn it the nickname of the Gherkin. The only drawback is, as you may have guessed, that this story was an April Fool's Day joke and completely made up. In all seriousness though, the building is setting a new standard of design that other architects and city planners just cannot ignore. The building's bold and cost-efficient design has won a number of architecture awards, including the Stirling Prize, the London Region Award, and the Emperor's Skyscraper Award, among others. The design comfortably accommodates a large number of offices, while keeping maintenance and operation costs down, striking a superb balance between nature and the workplace. Nature is well and good, as long as the weather is nice outside. Given London's notoriously bad weather, the architects knew they must devise a quality temperature regulation system, and that they did. A special system designed to reduce the building's reliance on air conditioning was devised that cuts consumption in half compared to standard office buildings. There are atria that link each floor vertically to one another, forming spiraling spaces up the entire building. They serve not just as social common spaces, but also act as the building's lungs, distributing clean air from the opening panels in the facade through the entire building. The building isn't all business though. It has its fair share of fun as well. At the very top, a club room offers a picturesque entertainment spot for company functions, private parties, etc., with a breathtaking panoramic view of the city. The creation of such an innovative structure has many wondering what the future of urban planning and architecture may be. Well, if the other projects currently commissioned by Foster and Partners are any indication, the entire city constructed with similarly eco-friendly buildings is not far in the distance. The Masdar City development aims to create a desert city that produces zero waste and removes as much carbon dioxide from the atmosphere as it puts in, a huge feat in protecting our Earth. The Gherkin is a truly impressive feat, yet it is not the only one worth noting. Now to move on to another green initiative, I'll tell you about the Eden Foundation building found in Cornwall.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.